Hello, hello, everybody. Welcome back to your Circle of Influence podcast. I am your co-host, Dr. Monikah Ogando.
And I'm Amy Walker.
I am excited to be with you today, as I know Amy is, because today we're talking about how to find the right business coach for you as a woman entrepreneur. And
Yes.
there's a debate about this, Amy, that I think we ought to settle right here and now.
What's
And
the
that
debate?
is, some folks feel as though they should go for business coaches that embody what they wish to have, right?
hmm
And I don't know about that because I think the guru age is over. And I know that there are, for example, Phil Jackson is an amazing basketball coach,
hmm
but he would suck on a basketball court.
Yeah.
I mean, compared to the people he coached, I mean,
Right.
he doesn't hold a candle to Michael Jordan, for example, right? And so there's this discernment thing. Then that's what I want to get into today when we talk about how to choose your business coach as a woman entrepreneur. What are the criteria and what are the metrics that you are using so that you make the right choice for you?
Yeah. I have so many opinions on this because
Yeah.
I've hired both good coaches and bad coaches, and I've had great investments and I've had terrible investments.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm sure that we both have our own vetting system, and I
Yeah.
definitely want to get into our vetting system. But what I will say is, I think there's three components to what you're speaking about, which is, do they have to have done it themselves,
Mm-hmm.
or do they have to know how to teach other people how to do it themselves?
Right.
I think either one's a viable path, but they better have one or the other.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Right.
if they haven't produced that result with clients or they haven't produced that result themselves, then that's where I think it becomes a little bit iffy. So, for example, I have clients that I have coached. One of them is a coach for accountants and bookkeepers. He's not an accountant or a bookkeeper, but
Mm-hmm.
he's great at business systems and strategy and
Mm-hmm.
people.
Right.
Another one is an accountant for dentists and orthodontists. He's amazing at team culture,
Mm-hmm.
but he's never been to dental school.
Yeah.
So I think you can have somebody who has done it before and is now saying, let me teach you exactly what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm.
But that would be like the teeth specialist teaching you how to be better at teeth, right? And I think sometimes we need to look at it and say there are multiple facets to our business.
Yeah.
And so maybe what I need is somebody who can teach me a piece of my business that is a piece they've done over and over again, but I've never
Mm-hmm.
done.
Yeah.
And maybe I need somebody who is going to teach me exactly how to do what it is that I want to do next because they've done that piece before. So I've done it on both sides. I've hired coaches to teach me how to coach. I've hired speakers to teach me how to speak. And then I've hired people who are outside my industry who know pieces of the puzzle about systems and strategy that I don't have.
Mm-hmm.
Here's my third component, though.
Mm-hmm.
Do they understand how to help me do business the way I want to do it? Like
Right.
is their methodology going to be in a way that I'm willing to?
Mm-hmm.
Because I've had great coaches before that the way that they were teaching me how to do business, I was like, listen, it would
That's not
work.
gonna work for me. Right.
Not for me.
Yes,
Like,
right.
I love that that works for you and for your people. I had one who I was like, I don't want to be on the road all the time. He's like, come on, you're telling me you get this great event and you're not going to travel 3 times when you only said 2. I was like, that is exactly what I am saying, sir, because
Mm-hmm.
there are 5 babies at home. And this was when my kids were small. I was like, this is the difference in a conversation between a man who's okay being on the road 50 weeks out of the year and a woman who does not. That
Yeah.
doesn't sound appealing to me any way, shape, or form. So
Right.
for me, those are 3 things that I look at. Have they created the results with others, or have they created the result themselves?
Mm-hmm.
And have they done it in a way that I am willing to do, or are willing to show me a way to do it that I'm willing to do? But
Right.
those things have to be in alignment straight off the bat, or it's a no-go. I won't even go
Yeah.
to all the other steps.
Yeah. So the issue that I have with people who are like, I've done it, therefore do it like me, is to your point, because some of the stuff that you've done doesn't work for somebody else,
Yeah.
right? And personality wise, preferences, lifestyle, where they are in the phase of life that they're in, whether it's small children, no children, or grown children, empty nesters, whatever. That's why I think one of my strengths in the way that I coach is because of my degree in psychology and my experience with psychology, because of understanding the human condition. So it's
hmm
not like, oh, because I did it this way, I'm going to show you this one thing that I know how to do because that's the thing that I
Yes.
did. It's more like, do you understand the whole perspective of the human condition? Can you hear what somebody's priority is? because you're listening to certain keywords. I mean, we were talking earlier about keywords for the podcast, et cetera. And it's really what we're doing is trying to get technology to imitate the way that human beings think. We think in algorithms, right?
Yeah.
And so the ways, whatever our priorities are, that's what we tend to see. We are optimizing, search engine optimizing our reality.
Yeah.
And we've just created technology to do the same. And so in terms of choosing a business coach, I love the metrics or the criteria that you mentioned. I think it is also important in terms of teachability or being able to coach someone, being able to teach someone. It is important that you can get out of your own way as a coach, because if the only thing you know how to respond to when somebody brings a business challenge or even a personal development challenge is, well, this is my experience, then we're just friends having coffee.
Yeah.
We're just sharing each other's experiences. We're comparing notes, best practices, etc. But you know what I mean? But a coach can see the whole game and can say, well, here's what you're doing over here and over there. You need to bring your elbow in over there. You need to stand up a little bit straighter. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because they have an understanding of the whole game and you in your position, you would coach, to use a sports analogy, you would coach a quarterback very differently than a linebacker or a running back, because they have different roles in the game. And so when you're coaching CEOs, it's very different than coaching a technician, even though, for example, web designers, graphic designers, people who are doing technical things that are in the thing, and you're delivering that. Sometimes you have a side hustle as the CEO of your business, but you're actually the one delivering the thing. Speakers, for example, are like this too, right? There's like you are the brand because you're the one that has to be on stage. Well, if you're the artist, if you're the talent, if you're the deliverability machine, that's one aspect of who you are as a business person. But then you also have CEO things. And that may be your weakness, or that may be the muscle that needs strengthening. And somebody needs to be able to know how to address that.
Okay, this is
not
coming
get so
into
caught up on the technical aspect.
Yeah, this is coming into my number one thing, which is so many people hire a coach because they like the person, not because they've analyzed the need in their business.
Right.
So they're like, I really like that person. I'm going to sign up with them. No, that's a terrible way to pick your coach. You need to first look at your business and say, what do I really need? Because I have seen people hire mindset coach after mindset coach after mindset coach, and they can't understand why their business can't ever grow and scale. It's like, because you've never hired somebody to help you build systems.
Right.
You've never hired somebody to help you build a team. Like, that mindset piece is important. And I come back to it regularly. I've probably worked with more mindset people. No, that's a lie. I'm really equal. I usually do like one and then the other. I'll do like a mindset coach and then a business coach and then a mindset coach and then a business coach. But it's that process of you can't just pick someone you like. You have to know what your business needs, and you have to know that what that person offers actually fills the need, and not make your decisions just based on personality. Now, you should really like this person, because if you don't, it's going to be a long, hard road. You're going to work closely with them. So you should also like them, but that's kind of like an and, not a first thing that we're looking for.
Or if you're crazy like me, use the fact that you don't like them to move you forward. I have hired, there's one who shall remain nameless, but I remember making that purchase decision of investing on a coach, particularly because I did not like him. But I respected his results. I trusted that he was able to get me to the point where I needed to be. And the fact that he was so unlikable to me was part of my initiation. It was like, I need to get over this idea that your personality trumps your profitability or your experience or your leadership, et cetera. I need to be able to deal with different people who may or may not, scratch me the right way.
Yeah.
So I actually hired him because I didn't like him. But this brings up the point of you need to know what it is that you need in your business so that you can make that proper decision.
100%. So my other thing is when I am hiring a coach, so I look at the need first. That's number one. The second thing that I look at is the deliverability of, like, what are they actually going to do for me? And I am sorry but I have to cut through the hype in order to get to
Yeah.
that. And if I'm trying to have a conversation and I'm like, I'm trying to go into process and they won't go there with me because they're
Mhm.
like, well, that's my intellectual property. I'm not going to hire that coach.
Yeah.
And the reason being, I don't want to be put on a conveyor belt, right?
Right.
Like I do, I will purchase programs and courses that are very much conveyor belt experiences where everybody's going to learn to do the exact same thing. There's a great social media course that I have that I think is one of the best ones out there. And it's very much like these are the steps that you do. You walk through this map, you get all your stuff set up, and it's really, really good. And it is what it is. It's what I need it to be. But when I'm hiring a coach, I don't want to be put on a conveyor belt. And I want to
Right.
understand that they're, first of all, listening to me,
Mhm.
understanding me, and that they're formulating ideas and that they have the vision for our next level of growth that I think is going to work well. And I
Mhm.
feel like if they're not willing to have that conversation with me, then it's not going to be the right coach for me because it's telling me up front what's the experience going to be like working with them. They have a
Yeah.
set plan they take everyone through.
Yep.
That's not what I want
Mhm.
in that phase. If it was what I wanted, I would personally buy a course, you know?
Right. Exactly. Yes, I totally get that. I totally get that. And I think that for every phase of growth, you need to have that level of clarity about what you need next, right? So
Mm-hmm.
when I talk to my clients about the different phases of growth, I kind of liken it. You've heard me talk about this. I kind of liken it to the human life cycles.
Yeah.
So the startup phase is kind of like, being born and your infant and childhood phase of the human life. A constant attention. When you're an
Mm-hmm.
infant, or when a human being is a baby, need constant attention, constant changing, cuddling, the emotional need, the psychological needs, the
Yeah.
physical needs. Oh my God, it's just all consuming. Eventually, that baby learns how to walk and learns how to, motor skills in order to be able to put the bottle to his face. But still, attention is almost a full time.
Yes.
And it's not even until that baby gets to be in adolescence when you can, like, okay, I can leave the house for a few hours. You
Mm-hmm.
still don't want to leave overnight. And Lord have mercy if you leave too long. Right. But they're starting to test stuff with self-sufficiency. This is kind of like your scaffolding phase in your business where you're starting to create some systems so that you can extract yourself from the business a little bit. And at this point, you need a lot of sales and a lot of
Mm-hmm.
attention of your own brand and what are my colors and what are my fonts and what's the money and da da da.
Mm-hmm.
Over here, it's more about systems and the team, as it were. And then
Yeah.
when you get to this like cruising altitude of adulthood, which happens to be the longest phase of the human life,
Mm-hmm.
that should be a clue that the longest phase of your business life should also be stability.
Mm-hmm.
It shouldn't always be feast, famine, feast, famine, feast, famine. It shouldn't be that,
Right.
right? And so when you get to the adulthood of your business, then you're starting to talk about scalability, growth, and legacy and all these things, just like adults plan for retirement, just like adults plan for old age. And when you get to old age in your business, it's not about dying necessarily. It's about what's the next iteration.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you have to tweak your offer. Sometimes you have to tweak your audience. Sometimes you have a different interest. And whereas I focused on sales before, now I'm going to focus on systems. Still a business coach, still, in the same industry, maybe even still serving the same clients, but just a different focus. And so when you understand where you are from an eagle's eye point of view, then you can know it's like over here, I need money.
Yeah.
Over here, I need systems. Over here, I need scalability. Over here, I need a plan. I need a reinvention strategist, as it were, right?
Yes.
When you understand all of that, then you can move through those. I'm not going to say seamless because everything has its own perturbation and its own turbulence, but
Sure.
at least with some perspective.
Yes. I love all of that because it is true that when sometimes we know that there's something we don't have. And then you get salespeople who come in and they're really good at showing you that you have the problem that they solve, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like that's what salespeople are good at.
Mm-hmm.
And as a salesperson, that's what we are trained to do is find the problem and find how we can fit it.
Yeah.
And this is not a knock on sales. Don't turn the keys of your business over to someone else and let them drive the car for you,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like when I walk into a call, I know that it's the person on the other end's job to find out what are my needs, what are my gaps, and figure out how they can fill them. But it is my job first to go into it already kind of aware of what it is that my business needs. like Monikah said, the different phases. Do I need sales? Do I need branding? Do I need to establish my programs?
Right.
Do I need marketing and leads? Do I need to learn how to hire? Like, what is the part that I know I need?
Mm-hmm.
And I know some of our listeners might be thinking, I don't even know what I need. Well, that's time with you sitting down with a notepad and meditating and getting quiet inside and getting rid of all the distractions
Mm-hmm.
and asking yourself some really important questions, because you should always in the coaching relationship be the one driving the car. The
Mm-hmm.
coach can be that navigator, but you don't ever want to turn the keys over, because then what will happen is you have created results that are completely dependent on
Mm.
somebody else that's not inside of your
Yeah.
company.
Yeah.
And so you're either going to be coaching with that person forever, or you're going to be experiencing this like surge fall, surge fall. So that's another thing that I look at. I have a couple more qualifiers.
Mm-hmm.
I look at the fact, like, are they honoring my wisdom and adding to it?
Yeah.
Or are they trying to, and I can tell this sometimes in the get to know you process, right? Like, do they honor my wisdom and the fact that I do have intuition and I do know my business better than anybody else knows it? And
Mm-hmm.
they're willing to add wisdom to that and show me the things I don't have, because I
Yeah.
am really teachable.
Right.
Or are they like, sit down, shut up, take notes, do what I say? So
Which is
that
like
matters.
click refund
Yeah.
request.
Another thing that really matters to me is that as I am working with them, that they're willing to build things inside of my business and leave them there. And so what that looks like can be a little bit different. I'm not necessarily saying I want all of my coaches to be doing production in my business, because most of them don't. But like, do they bring tools or assets or templates or things to the table
Mm-hmm.
that they can hand me a system that then I can use and it can stay in my business after I'm done working with them?
Yeah.
I feel like that's super helpful.
Yeah.
I definitely love listening to testimonials, and I like seeing their client case studies. I think that's super helpful.
Yeah,
I feel
because you
like
want to
there's
be able to recognize yourself in the people that they worked with in the past.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And just like make sure that they've really done it.
I think it would be important to, this is one of the reasons why those connection calls, and some folks call them clarity calls or discovery calls, etc. Those are important. And I'll say this about that, because we are operating from the assumption, both of us as entrepreneurs, fellow entrepreneurs, but also as coaches, we both are operating under the assumption that we want you to be in your power, right? Whoever comes
Mhm.
to the call, we want you to be in your power. We want you to come over here with a conversation of, here's what I need, here's where I'm willing to spend, here's my budget, there's a level of clarity you already come with, so that then we can support you in moving that conversation even further, right?
Mhm.
But if you come with the conversation of like, I don't know what's wrong, fix me.
Yeah.
All right. Then it's very easy for you in that position to think that your lack of results or your lack of progress is somebody else's problem because you wanted them to fix you.
Yeah.
And so when you can shift your conversation from, I am authoring, I am creating, I'm producing these kinds of results, I don't like my results, or my results could be next level and I'm not sure what I'm missing. So I want that perspective, or I want that counsel or that mentoring, or, tell me what it is that I'm not seeing in my peripheral view or whatever. Now you can just take that and run with it,
Mhm.
versus having to grab somebody else's curriculum or way of being, et cetera, et cetera. And this is the part that I think sometimes people get caught up in, which is sometimes you're a startup and you don't have enough experience. So you want to latch on to like a mentor, an advisor, and get best practices that way. But I 1,000% promise you that you are not going to be able to outrun lived experience. You have
Mhm.
to get your skin, you have to get your knees skinned. You have to get in there and fail. You have to know the real deal, because you and I have this experience too, where it's like, there are some people that we tell them, do this, do this, do this, do that, try this, try that, and they won't do it.
Right.
What are you doing? So either you're listening to your own wisdom and you're, trying the things and saying, what am I missing? Or you're not trying anything. And you
Yeah.
are like in this stuck place, right? So that's why it's also important to be able to handle that mindset piece, because that usually is a trauma response. That usually is a fear response. And you need to be able to see it for yourself, interrupt it for yourself, and if not, get proper support so that you know how to transcend it.
Yes, 100%. We've had this conversation how when we are working with our clients, we know what they're doing or not doing based on the questions they ask. Because if they're asking
Right.
questions that I'm like, oh, clearly you haven't done this at all because you're asking that level of question. Once you get into the mix of it, your questions change. It becomes not so much like, how do I get leads? And like, why is this page not converting the way that I think it should? Like, it's a very different conversation. I remembered my last thing. This is just it's small, but it's big. Do they actually want me to win? And would they be comfortable with me winning bigger than them? I
Mm.
have had some coaches, and I will say this, they've only been women who, when we were talking, it was like I got this feeling that they were trying to show me my place and that my place was somehow below their place. And they wanted to make sure that I understood that. And it was like, oh, so if I were to surpass, that would be hard for you. And so that's an energy, that vibe that doesn't work for me. I
Right.
want people to, I have clients who have made way more money than me and created way better results than me. And I cheer them on as they pass me by.
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
yes, I'm so excited for you.
Yes.
I want coaches who feel that way for me too, that I can go as far and as fast as I want to, and they're going to be cheering me on every step of the way.
Yeah, and that they graduate from different problems.
Yeah.
There have been people that have stayed with me that I have coached for years, but it's not the same problem every year,
Yeah.
right? It's like you grow, you evolve, you mature, and new level, new devil, as they say. And so
Mm-hmm.
you want to make sure for yourself, look at where you're going quarter by quarter, year by year, and see, am I having the same problem?
Mm-hmm.
Because you've heard me say this before. There are some people who say that they've been in business for 10 years, but they've just been repeating the first year 10 times.
Yes.
And so you want to get off of that hamster wheel and elevate not only your direction, but also your progress.
100%. All right. I love this conversation that we've been having because everybody should have a business coach.
Yep.
Everybody should have multiple business coaches over the course of their career. And I don't think that there's ever a time when you're done learning. Every single year, I am learning something new from somebody. Might be somebody I've worked with in the past. It might be somebody brand new, but staying in that place of growth and having people to coach you on. The best basketball players in the world still have coaches. The top athletes still have coaches. The top musicians still take lessons. Like, that's crazy, right? But we need those people who are fine-tuning our process, and they're showing us the pieces that we can't see. So I appreciate you all for being here with us today. Thank you for listening, and leave us some comments, subscribe to the channel, like the podcast, share it out with your friends, and connect with us online. I'm at Amy Walker Coach, and Monikah is at Monikah Ogando.
Thanks, everybody. Talk soon.